Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today I have a release that I completely forgot about for months, and it sat in my garage, and I kept thinking in the back of my head, I know I have it somewhere, and I found it. So today we're going to finally get around to checking out Fireforge Games' Forgotten World. Not that you can see it, but these are their Living Dead Warriors. Now, Fireforge is predominantly known for plastic and metal and resin historical kits, especially, kind of late Middle Ages and lots of Eastern European models. But this is their pure fantasy line. And now they have their humans in their Forgotten World. I already forgot what I called it. Forgotten Realms. And they're kind of based on the same design here, but these are their undead warriors. And me and my brother are always harping about the fact that you never have zombified people in armor, and that's exactly what we have here. So each box is supposed to have 12 models. It came all battered in the mail. That's not Fireforge's fault. That's the mail. And I am quite curious because I haven't even actually checked out what the sprues look like yet. So, my first thought is, looking at this sprue, who produced it? I was going to say Renedra, but I don't think so. I can't tell. 2 identical sprues, 6 bodies on each. You have a command option, if that's your case. Shields for everybody, spears for everybody, and hand-to-hand weapons as well. You'll notice there's no heads anywhere on this sprue. That's because the heads are on a completely separate lineup. And it looks like we have about 8 different heads. So that's not bad, not too many repeats there. Some have visors up, visors down, and random bits of chainmail. Also included, take your pick, choose your poison. You have both round and square bases. Both look to be about, I'd say those are 25 centimeter, not centimeter, it's been a long day, 25 millimeter rounds, and maybe 25 squares, roughly, yeah. All right, it doesn't look too complex. Oh, and another thing that should be pointed out is you've got all kinds of arrows you can embed in the models, which is kind of a fun touch. There's at least 6 or so on the sprue, so unfortunately, actually, no, I take that back. I was going to say, we don't have a lot of shield designs. There's 2 of the kind of big, I don't even know the name. You got 6 different shields. Okay, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to build these guys. Give me a sec. Alright, so I got some of our undead here. Living dead warriors finished up here. I put together one sprue, and I just wanted to show them off. So one of the things that I really liked was that you have an option on the sprue for a headless body, and you can have him carrying the head under an arm. You have one of those on each of the sprues. Pretty typical standard banged up dented weaponry for the close combat weapons. One thing that became readily apparent, and I kind of remember reading it now, was the lengths of the necks. They have very long necks. Some of them I left on like that because they look kind of distended and gangly and gross. So who knows, maybe the body, they got their neck broken. And I think if you put the heads in an angle, you can't really tell as much. It's not as readily apparent. A couple of different poses on the spears, which was kind of nice. Every hand has a set of braces for the shields as well. Nice little touch there. They have their kind of pigeon-toed Shambling Walk. Now this is kind of an interesting model. You have a couple sets of hands like this on each sprue, so you can have them carrying the spears crossbody like that. There's a little slot on each arm where the hands, which are actually part of the spear anyway, line up with everything, and it was pretty smooth construction. And usually I hate putting together two-handed weapons for that exact reason, so that was kind of a nice touch. So I went with 3 spears, 3 close quarters weapons for now. And there was a nice little variety of shields. Now, my biggest issue with this kit is the lack of bodies. Because let's be honest, if you're playing any kind of a game that's going to involve the undead or zombies or skeletons or anything like that, chances are you're going to be running all sorts of piles of I was going to say warm bodies, but cold bodies would probably be the more appropriate term. And that's going to be an issue because you only get 12 in a box. And while a box is reasonably priced, and if you're going to play a skirmish game where you're not in need of tons and tons, it works, and it works well, and you get, I think, a good quality kit for what you pay. However, let's be honest, most of you guys out there probably want piles and piles of these. So if you're going to buy into Fireforge's game, that might be worth looking into how many you're going to need. I can't say. I haven't looked at the rules yet. But for me, I'm going to need a lot more if I'm going to go that route. So just keep that in mind. But one thing that I did find interesting, I'll show you guys in a sec, was how they fit in with other plastics out there. So let's get just a couple guys out of the way here. And I'll grab a few other models to give you guys a good show. So our usual Witch Hunter Warhammer friend. You can see he's a little bit taller. Obviously, he does have his fancy hat to compensate for whatever lack of martial prowess I was going to say. Wrong word there. It was a Freudian slip if it was. But you can see he fits in pretty decent overall other than the big hat and sword on his back and lack of other things. Grabbing a couple of modern Mantic models as well in plastic. I think they're a good fit there. So my first thought was, and the reason I actually put them on the squares rather than the circle bases, was I want to use them in Kings of War Vanguard. I think they're going to be a nice little extra boost for my Undead Warband. And whether or not I actually purchase a full official Mantic one or not, that's entirely debatable, because at least I do have the rule book. We have that handy. If you wanted to go Conquest, yeah, I really dig Conquest stuff, but it doesn't really work in this situation. It looks like he's, teenager beating up on the junior high bullies or something. What I did find interesting, though, was how well they scale with North Star's Oathmark bodies. You can see here they're both kind of a little bit more on the diminutive side, and I think that actually works well. So I went ahead and started goofing around, and I grabbed a spare body part or two, and I actually just tried to kit bash together a Oathmark human body with some extra zombie bits that I made a mess with, but you can get the idea. So yeah, his pose may be a bit more static-y human, but with the undead arms, broken shield, and obviously dead-looking face with the glob of glue there, I think actually you can really get a lot more bang for your buck. And the Oathmark stuff, I really do think is a pretty versatile kit, especially if you're into stuff like Frostgrave. It works pretty well there. They're obviously about the same size. So I didn't know where I put my Frostgrave bits. I've actually spent the last 2 or 3 days, when I wanted to finish this video, digging around for my extra Frostgrave parts and have yet to find them. So we're going to settle for the Nora Oathmark stuff. But I do think that the bodies would work relatively well. I mean, just seeing him hunched over here, you can see that it's a pretty good size match. I think if you were going to use Frostgrave stuff to kit bash everything together, you can get even more bang for your buck. So definitely a cool kit. We don't see a lot of armored zombie rabble like this very often, so I do want to take advantage of that fact and pick some up while there is an opportunity to. And obviously, I do like when companies kind of go outside the usual norm, and for Fireforge to, start venturing into traditional fantasy models, I think that's a big step for them. And obviously, we want to encourage companies to try new things, and it helps when they put out a nice overall quality kit. So kudos to them in that regard. Again, my biggest issue is going to be the pricing for how much you get. For a small skirmish game like what I want to play, it's perfect. One box is good. If you're going to do hordes and hordes for Kings of War, you might want to get a little bit creative, like I said, and look into either bits of other models or, just go hog wild. That's entirely up to you. I don't have that kind of money. So, anyways, with that said, this is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. And thanks for watching, and see you back here soon. Bye-bye.